Today's episode is brought to you by Proud Wolves. It is Proud Wolves' mission to build stronger local communities by using global systems. Our main focus is the integration of children in the local community to boost their sense of purpose and belonging and reduce mental health issues and suicide rates. We want to make sure that children all over the world have free access to cultural activities and sport. Proud Wolves helps organizations to change their income models and stops them relying on membership fees for children. Find Proud Wolves on Google for more information. Now, get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week.
Goeiedag, enchantée, and welcome to this week's episode of A24 Presents All-NBA Team of the Week. It was close. In fact, it couldn't be really much closer than it was, but the Boston Celtics have won the Eastern Conference. It took a Jimmy Butler 3 to decide the matchup between the Celtics and Miami, a shot that Butler missed and copped a lot of flack for. To me, that was the right shot to make. He was open, he stepped nicely into the shot, and he was in rhythm. Yes, Butler is not a great three-point shooter, but at that moment, that doesn't matter. If he goes to the ring, a lot of things can go wrong. He can get blocked by Horford, he can miss the shot, he can make the shot but not get a free throw, the game goes to overtime, and a tired Miami gets run over anyway. So many variables. I think Jimmy did the right thing, because if he made that shot, nobody would have had any doubt that it was the right shot. Too bad for Butler and Miami, but the Celtics have made it to the NBA Finals. As promised, this week's episode, we go over the 5 key players on the Celtics. Get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week.
Before we move on, I'd like to talk to you about A24. A24 is created by Proud Wolves with the intention to provide children with an opportunity to learn and play basketball at their own pace and completely free. We have created different courses which are available on the website to improve their basketball skills. But our real mission is to help disadvantaged children by building and upgrading basketball courts around the world and supply them with basketball gear to play with. Come and find our website and grab a t-shirt to support the course. Now, let's get back to the show.
Pick one! Our first pick of the week is Jason Tatum. In his young 5-year career, the 24-year-old has never missed the playoffs. In fact, this is the third time in those 5 years that Boston made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. In 2018, LeBron and the Cavaliers needed 7 games to get through the Celtics. That was the first Kyrie year in Boston, where he injured himself towards the end of the regular season, and he missed this almost historic playoff run. Fun fact, the 4 main players for Boston in that series were Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and rookie Jason Tatum. Not much has changed in 5 years, right? The second time Tatum and Boston made it to the Eastern Conference Final was during the bubble season when they lost against Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. That Miami team was never going to lose, and I still don't understand how they lost against the Lakers in the finals. And this current run is the third time the Boston Celtics made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Even though he's still young, it feels like this was the do-or-die moment for Jason Tatum. It was time that he broke through that ceiling and claimed his place among the NBA greats. And the Celtics dominated most of the series against the Heat, but in multiple in-game collapses made that series closer than necessary, especially in Game 7, when Boston was up by 17 points and still had to cross their fingers when Butler took that last shot. But the Celtics made it and are in the NBA Finals. Jason Tatum against Steph Curry, the future of the league against the current dynasty. Will this be the change of the guard? Hard to say, but if Tatum looks after himself physically, just like LeBron did, he can end up with a similar run of 8 NBA Finals appearances in a row. And who knows, maybe he can even break that streak. He's young enough. The current record is held by, you guessed it, the Boston Celtics, with 10 NBA Finals appearances in a row back in the 60s. And they won 8 in a row during that stretch. Can Tatum break this franchise and NBA record? He has taken the first step, and if they can win this NBA Finals, it will be anyone's guess where they'll end up 10 years from now. Pick 2! Our second pick of the week is Jaylen Brown. Brown's playoff streak could have been more impressive than Tatum's if he hadn't been injured during last season's playoff run. It would have meant 6 postseasons in a row, although Brown wasn't as important during his rookie year as Tatum was. Because Brown had, quote-unquote, a normal rookie season, his second year in the league was the first time he showed people around him that he was truly a quality player. It was clear from the start that these 2 players were destined to achieve greatness together, and they've had a bumpy ride to get where they are now. Especially if we take a closer look at the start of this season. Both Tatum and Brown came off an all-star season but lost against Brooklyn in the first round of the playoffs. That loss meant a lot of reshuffling in the front office, and after 18 years, Danny Ainge decided to move on from his position as GM, and then head coach Brad Stevens was promoted into the role. Ime Udoka was hired as a new head coach. Udoka had been an assistant for about 10 years in the league, but never coached his own team. It was hard to say what the Boston Celtics were going to be able to achieve at the start of the season, and the start wasn't that promising at all. They lost 6 out of their first 10 games, and rumors started circling. And most of those rumors included Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Tatum was the guy the Celtics were going to keep, and if both stars were not able to play together, it was going to be Brown that had to leave. It didn't help that Udoka publicly called out these players when they were not playing well. Brown said that none of it had bothered him, but it was hard to believe it. And then it changed, out of the blue. Since January 1st, the Celtics were 33-12 in the regular season and climbed to the second spot in the Eastern Conference. They killed Brooklyn, tired out Giannis, and manhandled Butler. Brown and Tatum are inseparable now, and these guys are the future of this Boston franchise. Only the future for them is right now.
Pick 3!
Our third pick of the week is Marcus Smart. Smart was described as an unselfish player with great court vision and an exceptional perimeter defender before the 2014 draft. He was picked as number 6 by the Celtics and managed to play himself into the rotation in his rookie year after Rajon Rondo was traded away to Dallas. Since then, Smart has had a love-hate relationship with the Boston Celtic fans. They love him because of his attitude on the court. He's relentless and keeps playing till the very last second of every game. But he gets overexcited on the offensive end and forgets that he's not the number 1 option on this team sometimes. It would frustrate fans, coaches, and teammates, but this year, under Udoka, Smart seems to have figured it out. Where he was too selfish to be a true point guard in his previous seasons, he has embraced the role this year. Obviously, Dennis Schroeder was not the guy Boston needed, and Smart was happy to step into the role. He averaged a career-high 5.9 assists a game, and he was elected as Defensive Player of the Year. Smart had been on the trade block pretty much every season, but the Celtics never pulled the trigger. A great move looking at it now, because Smart was the missing playmaking piece this Boston team needed at the end of last season. There's one moment in these playoffs that proves the change that Smart has made to lift his team. In Game 1 against the Nets, Smart gets the ball with only a handful of seconds left in the game. He can take the 3, but he has 2 Nets players storming at him to block his shot. He fakes the shot, drives past them, and finds Tatum, who finishes the game with a mind-boggling spin move buzzer beater. The old Smart would have attempted the shot, but the new Smart is an unselfish player with excellent court vision, and he's always been an excellent perimeter defender.
Pick 4!
Our fourth pick of the week is Al Horford. I saw a meme this week floating around on the socials about Horford that described his influence on this team like no other. The picture shows a young Splinter and the baby Ninja Turtles, referring to Horford as Splinter and Tatum, Brown and Smart as the little turtles. The second picture shows an older Splinter and the fully grown Ninja Turtles. That's exactly the role that Al Horford has played for these guys. There is no other way of putting it into words. He has taken these guys under his wings, shown them the ropes, and now they are ready to take over. This week, Al Horford turns 36 years old, and he's playing his 15th season in the NBA. He was part of the Atlanta team that surprised the whole league in 2015, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they were swept by LeBron and his Cavaliers. He played 9 seasons for the Hawks and then moved to Boston for the first time. He helped the youngsters as much as he could, but they never made it past the Eastern Conference Finals again. And then Horford moved to Philly to be Embiid's backup, and he tried to get that glory that way, but as we all know, that was an unmitigated disaster. He was traded away from Philly to OKC, where he didn't play for 2/3 of the season, and Brad Stevens brought him back to Boston at the start of this season. At the time, it seemed like Al Horford would take on a Udonis Haslem role within the team, support the guys from the bench, and be the veteran leadership they need. But Horford knows better than anyone that vets lead from the court, and he made sure that he was able to play for the majority of the season. He helped Boston turn things around in the second half of the season and led them through the playoffs so far with some exceptional three-point shooting and rebounding. This is the first time in his career that he made it to the NBA Finals, and he wants to win it all. He deserves it after the career he's had.
Pick 5!
Our fifth pick of the week is Derek White. White was never meant to be a basketball star. He was barely 6 foot coming out of high school and didn't play for any of the Division I college teams. But White has an exceptional work ethic, got invited to the draft combine in 2017, and convinced the San Antonio Spurs that he was worth drafting. He was the 29th pick of the 2017 draft, and he played 4.5 years in San Antonio under Pop. He wasn't exceptional, but he was part of the core group the Spurs were looking at to build around. But then, the Celtics came knocking halfway through this season, and the Spurs were considering tanking the rest of the season. They couldn't say no to a first-round pick and a first-round pick swap. Oh yeah, they also got Langford and the expiring Richardson in the deal. Derek White ended up in Boston alongside Tatum, Brown, Smart, Horford and Williams as extra help on the guard positions. Coming off the bench, White has been very important for the Celtics, adding a bit of depth to their roster. He averaged 11 points, 3 rebounds and 3 assists in about 27 minutes a game, and his presence on the court allows Smart, Brown and Tatum to take a break once in a while, something they weren't able to do before he got in. He's been playing really well in these playoffs, but took it up a notch when he became a father for the first time. He missed Game 2 against Miami when his baby was born, and he returned to the team. When he returned to the team, we saw a different White on the court. Excluding Game 3 against Miami, where the whole Boston team went missing, he's averaged 14 points a game in the last 4 games of the series and 4 assists a game. His 3-point shooting in Game 6 and 7 has been off the charts, shooting 6 of 10 over both games. He played a big part in the Celtics beating Miami, and it will be interesting to see how he can contribute to the Celtics taking on the Warriors. Derek White was not supposed to be a basketball star, and yet today, he's one of the most important sixth men on a championship contender.
This was our All-NBA Team of the Week. Please share the podcast and give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, contact us on a24office@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week. Ballers out.